Wafaya Abdallah is a 36-year industry veteran, salon owner, curly hair educator, certified energy medicine practitioner, certified mindful meditation teacher, and a podcast host. Today, we're going to hear her story, how she got to where she is, and everything we need to know to have a successful career. Welcome back to the Hairdresser Strong Show. My name is Robert Hughes, and I am your host. And today, I'm with Wafaya. How you doing today, Wafaya?
Hi, Robert. Thank you. I'm well. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming. Okay, so giving our audience, viewers, and listeners, I met Wafaya. I was going around from salon to salon, and I was working my way through the Rockville, Bethesda, North Bethesda area, and I walked into your salon, and you happened to be having a meeting, and so I had the chance to say hi to everybody and talk to everybody. We had a few exchanges of words, and then we connected, and now we're here. So that's how we found each other. Um, okay, so what I am curious to know is, Wafaya, how did you get started in hair? Like, not why hair is important, but also like, what was your process? Like, did you go to school? Did you do an apprenticeship program?
Got it. Well, I was in my early 20s and kind of going from job to job. I was in college, getting a degree in political science, and I had just gotten married. And I just remember sitting with myself quietly one day, and I thought, if I didn't have anyone to answer to, not my Egyptian, Arab, Muslim father, or friends that were judging me, where would I like to spend most of my time? And I wanted to go to law school because I believe in fighting for the underdog and social justice. That's where my head was at. But I needed a job to pay bills. And that's why I'm like, well, gosh, law school is so intense. I better enjoy my day job. And so as I got quiet and reflective, I thought, I love being in a hair salon. I've always done my friends' makeup and hair. And um, I every time I see a movie, I'm just looking at how their hair and makeup is done and improving it in my head or celebrating how amazing they look. So I looked into beauty school and I could finish my degree. I could have beauty school paid for because I was technically African American and I could get the funding. And so off I went to beauty school. I did decide to have a job in a hair salon at the same time. Because if you're going to do something, you may as well immerse yourself. And that's where I apprenticed at the time. It was called Echo. And you and I have Sean Stredwick in common. What a wonderful hair. He was also my hairdresser, but what a wonderful place to have learned, and especially from someone as exceptionally talented as him. And then once I got into it, I thought, I don't want to go to law school. I'm going to figure out a way to weave social justice into what I'm doing with hair. And that's how I started.
Nice. Okay, cool. So, did they have some sort of training program after you got out of school? What was that process of like getting out of school? I mean, if you're already in a salon, were you doing training with them in addition to what you were doing at school, or was just no time? You just could pick up a few shifts here and there.
So loosely, they did have official apprentices. I wasn't an official apprentice. I was more an assistant, shampoo tech, picked up a lot of great things from them. They, after I finished beauty school, there was a bit of a disconnect between bringing me on. I don't think that they had like new talent program per se. And so I went to work for, at the time, it was a chain called Visage Express, which was in Montgomery Mall. And I just thought, well, this is a great place. They do provide education for new talent, and it's a great way to build. You know, at the time, that's what you did. You finished beauty school and you built a clientele, and that's what you did.
So, no required training at the new salon when you went
They,
there?
they did have a training program. Yes. They taught us the basics.
So did you go right on the floor when you got hired, or did you have to spend some time training before they let you on the floor?
No, I went right on the floor and I went right into training. I mean,
Okay.
you just figured it out.
Yeah. So is there is there a different, I mean, I know I'm going to jump around a little bit here, but is there a different process for the people that you hire? Or do you hire people right out of school and put them on the floor and let them figure it out?
No, we have a solid internal training program. And it doesn't matter if you are apprenticing here or if you are a stylist, everyone goes through a skill certification program. Now, someone who is a stylist who may know certain things may go through it faster, but we're very detailed. We spend a lot of time, for example, on consultations. We do role playing because if you have a good consultation, for example, you're going to be set up to have a more successful service. Really practicing those listening skills. When someone shows you a picture, not taking the picture for granted and being able to dive in deep to that photo or the Pinterest board. You know, what about it do you really love? If someone has completely different hair than they're showing you, or color, sometimes somebody's showing you a color scheme and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to do exactly that. All they meant to show you was the highlights in the front. And so, setting, we go through the thorough consultation, step by step, every single process that we do here, every procedure, people are skill certified in it. And not only do we practice on models, we also have either written exam, oral exam, practical final model for them to go through. And that's just for the basics. And then as they continue, of course, I'm always here to support.
Nice. Okay. So let's go back. So you're working at the place called Visage.
Yes.
Okay. So you're working at Visage, and you get on the floor, you start building, you start kind of figuring things out. You're also attending training. How long did you stay at Visage?
I think about a little over a year.
Okay. And then what? Then where'd you go?
Then I went to another salon. So what happened with Visage, it was very interesting. I think this guy brought a lot of stylists over from France. And to get rid of some of us, he said, you have to sign an education contract. If you leave within a certain amount of time, you owe us several $1,000s. So of course, they several of us left and they replaced us right away with people that were, that they had brought over from France. I'm not sure what the thinking was there. So I just kind of went to the next salon. It was in oh my gosh, here in Rockville somewhere. It was called Snippers. At the time, I was pregnant with my first child. So I thought I just want a place to do some of the clients that I have, build a little more, and enjoy this pregnancy so that I can, have my first child. So it was just kind of a hangout. And it was fine. The owners were very chill, supportive, no education. Again, you had to figure it out, but it was good for the time.
And well, how long was that time?
Also about a year, year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what prompted the next move?
Well, of course, I went on maternity leave, and while I was on maternity leave, they sold the salon.
Oh,
And yeah,
that's
so
a good reason.
yeah. So then I found yet another salon um, to go to and work part time. Now I have, a newborn, and I'm a new mom. So it was again just another place that was easy to be. I tended to, I didn't intentionally, but it seems now reflecting back, I shied away from, I guess I refer to them as hoity toity salons because they were very high pressure.
Okay.
Um, where I apprenticed, it was pretty cutthroat. It wasn't a supportive environment. Of course, this is the late 80s, early 90s, a lot of drugs happening in the salon. Um, Very competitive. I even remember a seasoned stylist saying, I'm not giving away everything that I worked hard to learn. So weren't willing to educate or teach. That's back in the day when they would hide their color formulas. They wrote it
Wow.
on an index card and they'd hide it like so you couldn't figure it out. It was really such a cutthroat, egotistical culture in a lot of the hoity-toity salons. And I tend to shy away from them. So I would go to more low key salons. So I ended up at another place, also here in Rockville. And I just kept thinking, man, one day I really want to create my own because it's such a toxic culture. And a lot of the salons that are well known for doing good hair, and I would love to create a place. I mean, I even remember some of the stylists would yell at the clients. Like if they were 5 or 10 minutes late, they were very rude to them. And this salon was so beautiful, and the stylists were so attractive, and there was so much great hair going on. And I thought, God, if they were just a little bit nicer, they would be trillionaires. Um, but it was just such a toxic is the best word, gossipy, putting each other down. I also found out that some of the most attractive people were some of the most insecure people. And just to, yeah, I just thought there's got to be a better way. And so I landed at the salon for a couple of years. And then at some point I came here to Oasis. I had heard the owner was pretty cool, and I even remember in the interview he said, "What's your goal in 5 years?" I said, to own a salon. And he said, "Oh, maybe you could buy this one." And I thought, "Okay, I'm going to keep that in mind."
Nice.
Yeah.
So how long would you say that was, from the time you finished school till you got to Oasis? Few-
I finished school in 1990, I believe, or 89, and I started at Oasis. Well, it's easy, right? Because my son was born and he was 2 years old, so 1995. So about 5 years, 5.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how long were you at Oasis before you bought the salon? I'm assuming that's what happened.
That is what happened. I was here for, well, it was 8 years, and then I convinced the owner to let me buy into it, like be
Okay.
his junior partner. So that was for a couple of years. And then in 2005, he just kind of was burned out from the business, not really, just burned out is the best way I could say it. And that's when he was like trying to sell the salon. And originally I was going to have partners because again, now I've got three sons at the time. And I thought partners would be good because I want to make sure to still be available to be a mom. But these partners were not good. And thank God that sale didn't go through. And then Jeff and his wife Patty and even my husband were like, "Why don't you just buy it?" I thought, "Oh, okay." But then I brought a stylist here as my junior partner, and that lasted a year. That was not good at all. Um, I was really working hard. I had the busier chair. She kind of didn't do much, just kept asking, "Where's the profits?" And I thought, yeah, I need somebody who's going to be as engaged as I am. And so it was good for me because I thought it would be easier with a partner, and it ended up being way worse. And I thought, okay, running it alone is going to be peace of mind. And so that's what I did.
So that's really interesting. I feel like there's a lot of I go to schools and I talk to the students on a regular basis like around here, and if there's anybody in a school that I haven't been to listening or watching, please send us a message. I would love to come and visit and talk to you about the future. When I talk to them and I ask them what they want out of their career, I would say comfortably 25, maybe 30% want to own a salon. There's a like 50% think they want to, at least 50% want to be a business owner at some level someday, whether that's a suite or a salon. And But like, opening up and buying a salon can be expensive and it can be challenging to do without somebody else. Could you share a little bit about partnership and maybe include some things to think about and things to look for when you're if you're gonna think if you're thinking about bringing on a partner, considering that you've had some experience that you sounds like you dodged a couple of bullets actually based on how you're talking. You have different two. It sounds like there was two chances to end up with partners that didn't work out.
Yes, well, there's a saying in business, right? The only ship that doesn't sail is a partnership. Um, so I would say, hmm, for successful partnership, that's a tough one. You really want to make sure that you're both bringing the energy and drive and that you see the same thing. I would also say 50-50 may not be the most successful way to split it because there's nobody making the final decision. Uh, I I would also really recommend against having a partnership. Build a team. Build a team, create some leaders. And you just said that several students have said they want to own a salon. Send them my way. I'm only getting older. And one of the things we do here, we are an open book business and we teach business as much as we teach hair. So that would be a great thing if you send some young people who want to be business owners. Um, I really would advise against it. You really have to think it through. Definitely don't do it with a friend. That's a sure way to end a friendship. Um, Build a team, create leaders. There's no question about the pecking order when that happens. Um, Other than financial, I'm not sure how it could really benefit.
Okay, there you go. That's a pretty solid answer to anybody listening. And my experience, and the only partner I've worked with is my wife. I've worked with other people on projects. If my wife and I weren't married, we probably wouldn't have made it as business partners
Mhm.
because the way sometimes we act and talk to each other, you would probably never put up with that unless you were married to them, maybe. And we also have an extra reason, a bigger reason to make sure that we check ourselves when we are acting and talking the way we probably shouldn't to our business partner. And that's kind of helped us as a relationship grow. But there's no way I'd be able to go through what I went through with her with anybody else. Um, Maybe if it was family, but I feel like that's more likely to go south, just because of the dynamics that my wife and I have. But I will say, like, I've worked on other things with other people, and what I've always noticed is like it's either uh, the person doesn't have the same vision as you for over time,
Yeah,
and then along with not having the same vision as you, I've noticed that people aren't really good at making plans and looking into the future. They think they like the way something sounds, and then when you set off on this journey and it's a long journey and time goes on, well, life happens and people change what they want. They kind of think differently about things. And my experience is you can't really trust very many people to kind of stay the course with you. That's been a challenge that I've run into. And then last but not least, it's definitely always someone that seems like they're gonna do more work, the
yep,
actual work, and then there's someone that might feel more valuable because of what they bring, and those 2 things aren't always the same. That's been my
absolutely.
experience.
Well,
Yeah.
and of
So I think
course,
that's a pretty strong. Sorry, go ahead.
I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
say, and of course, when you're making money, okay, good times. But what about when you're losing money?
Yeah, how is that person handling their money?
Or
It's
maybe business
important.
is just hitting a moment in time, especially if you're just opening up. There's going to be some unforeseen expenses before you really build your cash flow and your cash reserves. And then
Right,
what?
right. Yeah. So it's like, can you trust that the other person is always going to maintain a little bit of money and their own personal bank account for surprise expenses? Otherwise, I guess you could borrow against the business if you can't come up with the money. That just sounds like you're dealing with someone's financial issues, you
Yeah,
know, their own
exactly.
personal financial finances. And then also, like, should the business hold on to money in their coffers? I've met a lot of people who don't think it should, and so if it shouldn't, then that means I'm relying on you to have the money when we need the money. So yeah. Okay. Well, thank
Yeah.
you for that little sidebar there. Side note. I think that was a nice little valuable little exchange for anybody who's in that position thinking about going down that road. Okay, so let's see. So your pathway was school, you were working in the salon, you got out of school and they didn't really have a plan for you, so you went to the next location that would not only get you working on the floor to figure it out, but also train you. And you did I guess it sounds like you didn't necessarily pick the salon because they would put you on the floor. That's just kind of how it was. It sounds like
Mhm.
maybe you picked the salon because they had education. Would that be right? The Visage? That second location?
They had education and they had a tremendous amount of walk-in business.
Okay,
So, again,
okay,
at the time, you had to build your book. That's what you did, build your book. So, I
gotcha.
had to find a place that would allow for that to happen.
Okay, so you built your book, and then you went to another place, and then you were there for about a year and a half, and then you had a couple of other stops before you got to where you are now,
Yeah.
which is the salon that you ultimately bought into, and you were there for 8 years, you said, before you bought into it, and when you
I was here 6 years before I bought into it and 8
okay.
years before I bought it completely.
Gotcha. Okay. So, and then when you bought into it, what was that like? Were you the only other partner?
Yeah, so it was a husband and wife, but they really had great dynamics, I must say. I adore both of them. It was very clear that Jeff, the husband, was the leader of the company. His wife, Patty, was more of a support. She really left it for him to make decisions. She didn't have any kind of ego or cattiness. She was very chill about it. Um, and yes, then I was the junior partner, and often she and I agreed on things. Like he didn't have, for example, an employee manual, so we decided. I worked on creating one. Um, they had hair and tanning at the time, and I remember the receptionist. We had two. They would be at the front desk eating their salads in front of clients, and I thought, well, wow, that's got to stop. There was a couple of part-time receptionists that would come after work and literally lay down on the desk to
Oh
go to sleep
no.
because they were so tired. And there was so much. And when I bought into it, I said, "Is it okay if I just take the front desk team and work with them on some things?" And he was amenable to that. And so it took time. Change is hard. Just getting people to actually, why don't you take a break, 30 minutes, eat like a human being in the back. That way you don't have things coming out of your mouth of, trying to help clients. The person that was falling asleep is like, listen, can you come in and stay awake for a few hours, or do you need to call it a day? I mean, there was a lot of pushback, and I did everything I could to rally the troops. I got rid of the chairs that they were sitting in, and I just brought like cutting stools, so it's comfortable but not too comfortable. And it's like stand as long as you can, and when you have to, go ahead and have a seat, because they weren't even coming to tell the staff that their client was here. They kind of shout it back. It was just really it was just a bit of a free for all, and I thought this could be better with a little bit of discipline. So that was my role when I came in.
Nice. And and what was the other question? Okay, so when you bought in, one question about that, did you put together like a formal proposal with a number, or was it more of like a casual conversation that got more formal over time?
I wish I had done more due diligence, I'll tell you, but because other people were going to buy in, he was working with a business broker. And so there was already a price set. And the stations were old. The place definitely needed a remodeling. The good part was it was a good business. It had a clientele, it had a staff. There was money coming in every day, so I didn't have to start from scratch. But in hindsight, I wish I had negotiated more because it did need a renovation, and I had to wait quite a while before I could do that.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Wow. No, this is I feel like anybody who's in anywhere near this process, this has been there's like a lot of little golden nuggets in here. Okay. All right. So you go through the process. 2 years later, you buy it outright. Did the owner stay on for
Oh,
a little while?
well, that's another story. Boy, do you learn a lot. Yes. So he and his wife stayed on. And remember, we were tight. We were great friends. Let me tell you, the day after we signed the papers, they became my worst employees. My worst, they were resentful of meetings that I held, resentful of changes that I made. So that lasted not quite a year. Now, at the same time, before I bought, I was turned on to this place called Strategies Salon, Spa, and Med Spa Consulting Company. Remember, I told you about it. I want you to come to their conference in October. And with this man, Neil Dukoff, what was teaching is this whole team-based business model. And at the time, I wasn't even an owner yet. I just kept getting these mailings, and it's like, if you want a positive culture, working as a team, on and on, value your long-term employees. I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about, but they're coming to DC. At the time, we got retail commission, so I would have my retail commission saved in an account. I asked him not to put it in my paycheck because that was a way I could afford to go to education. So I paid for it, went to this thing, and learned about this business model. And wow, I could not get it out of my head. So I say that to say, as a little side story, I was going up to Connecticut to where they have their company to get different business classes and business trainings. Well, on one of the classes, of course, when you get away from your business and you can really take a good, honest look at it, I realized that I had to get some courage and talk to my former boss slash friends and tell them this was horrible. I couldn't live like this anymore. I mean, I was so depressed. And so I came home from a class, and it was funny because I saw them at the airport. They were just coming back from a trip. And I thought, shit, couldn't even look them in the eye because I was like, I have to have this honest conversation. I was so nervous. But the very next day, I took him to the Starbucks over here. And I said, I was very compassionate. I said, listen, it's not your fault. If it was Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse, and Donald Duck sold a business and Mickey bought it and started changing things, of course Donald Duck's going to be resentful. So I don't know what happened, but you guys became my worst employees. And this is really hard. And he would, take off to go swimming every day. And I'm like, I need you to work your hours. If you're going to stay, I need you to work your hours. Not to run errands. I need you to show up this way. I need you to be at meetings with a positive attitude. And if you can't, we have to have that conversation. And then the next day I had it with his wife, who I was even closer with. And it was a wonderful conversation, really honest, heart to heart. It was such a load off. And then the following week, they said, will you release us from this non compete? And I said, yeah, I will. Um, Now, what I didn't know is, meanwhile, when I wasn't here, they went and printed out all their clients, which wasn't cool.
I was gonna
But
say.
the thing is, though, we have a policy here. Anytime anyone leaves, You cannot solicit your clients, but we will tell people where you are because we owe that to the clients. So anyway, that's how it went down. And I mean, I still wish them well. We're friendly. We don't stay in touch necessarily, but if we did, it would be fine.
Is he
But
still
that's
doing hair?
oh no, they moved to Florida.
Okay.
They did hair in some like somebody's home
Mm,
salon for a couple of years and then they moved away.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow, this is incredible conversation. I think as we near the end here, I'm kind of curious to have taken this story. I feel like the you gave us a little breadcrumb to lead to the end of this conversation. You mentioned the team based models that you went to, and but we haven't really talked about what is Oasis today, and you gave us a little bit of information about specialty and like training, but why don't you kind of tie that all together for us, the learning about this new business model and you making changes in your business to leading it to what it is today.
Okay, so jump to today. We are a team-based business. We specialize in naturally wavy, curly, and tight spiral hair. We are a holistic platform as well because beauty is from the inside out. So we do a lot around that's why the energy medicine and meditation. We even do research around the link to gut health and scalp health and hair health. We have no competition. We're a gossip free salon. We provide training. In fact, we prefer people out of school so we can train them from the get go. And if not out of school, we have an apprenticeship program. Um, we are open book management. We, in fact, last week had a 2-day on site with our business coach where we just talked about culture and business. Everybody understands the numbers. There are people here who are in charge of inventory and actually have a credit card and to the company and help
Wow.
run the business. Um, yeah, it's we have the hard conversations. We don't shy away from hard conversations. If there's ever one of the team that is struggling for any reason, we talk about it. We give support. We hold everyone accountable to a level of excellence. And that's where we are today.
Can you explain what is team-based salon mean?
Okay, so, and this is a much longer conversation that we could get into, but in a
Okay.
nutshell,
Okay.
everyone here is salaried. So they are paid hourly. It is not the same hourly rate. That is a misconception. And that way, it's not my client, it's our client. And so someone may be cutting the hair, someone else may have time on their book to apply the color that day if it's a last minute add on. Um, we are loving on clients together. If somebody's stuck with a haircut or they think something could be better, they can call one of the team over. So it's much more collaborative. Um, and people get a raise and more income not by cutting more hair, but by their attitude and the work ethic that they bring. Um, but that also gives people the opportunity to play different roles in the company. So if they may not be cutting hair all the like I said, I have someone helping with inventory, someone else who's getting into a more leadership role. So you can still do work that's not cutting hair and still get paid. When you were here, you said it was a meeting day. Everyone was paid for that time. So, and then also we have monthly goals, even though we focus on the numbers as if for measure. Just like a football player isn't playing a football game and saying, what's the score? What's the score? No, they're playing all out. The score reflects how well you're playing the game. So we do have monthly goals, and every time we hit our goal, everyone in the company gets a bonus.
So, okay, so I'm gonna ask a few questions. Do you you said salary, hourly. So does that mean that everyone part of the negotiation from the beginning is how many hours you're going to work? And it's all based on the amount of time that you're at the salon. Do some people work less hours? Some people work more hours? Or does everyone basically work the same schedule?
So we work the same schedule right now. And for people who are skill certified, it is a 4-day work week.
Okay.
For the new people, they do come in Tuesday for 5 hours because that's training day. Once a
Okay.
month, everyone's here for meeting day. That's also, if we're gonna, do a new maybe conditioning treatment or a new service, that'll be the day that we all, role play or practice, make sure we're all on the same page. So that's once a month. Um, so it's not a negotiation. We give them a job offer
Okay.
with an income, and they can accept or they cannot accept. We do also have benefits like paid time off, retirement, paid education. So that is part of the job offer.
And then and are there different levels, or is everybody the same level and gets paid the same?
No, no one, they do not get paid the same.
Okay.
Um, yes. And there, I wouldn't say levels. There is a training time where it is a reduced uh, service fee. And once they're skill certified, then they charge the full price. So we
Gotcha.
don't have levels. No, we want everyone to deliver their best, period. Because if you think about it, like I never got it from the client perspective. You can come see Wafaya and pay this much, or you can come see Debbie, who's not as good, and pay this much. I mean, I don't get it. And
I
because
totally
we are
understand what you're saying.
we are a heavily training salon. We train, we take the time to train to make sure that they are at that level. And like I said, they test out. There's a written or an oral, there's a practical, and I'm always here to support. So we make sure that everyone's able to deliver that level.
Okay, yeah, I think I definitely want to have you on again because I think this is a great conversation. There's also another conversation. I know I'm getting a little off base because we're tying this up, but there's two conversations. I'm writing this down right now. Is a team-based salon, but you mentioned something, the hoity-toity salon versus the chill salon, and I've been really wanting to have a conversation about like what is high end? What does that mean? I don't think high end to me is, fancy shampoo bowls and snobby front desk, um, but I feel like you and I are not going to have the same definition. But based on what you said, I would love to have that conversation if you are open to it.
Sure.
Uh, and I don't even know how to spell. Okay, Twitty. Uh, and then okay, so those are the two conversations I'd love to have with you next time we talk. But as okay, so now we're wrapping it up. So we got a little bit about what team based is. You also said open book management. Can you explain what that means?
Yes, everyone knows the numbers. They know what we're making, they know what we're spending, they understand our critical numbers, they understand our four business drivers. Uh, they basically understand the business.
Nice. All
Yeah.
right, cool, awesome. All right. Well, I feel like this was a really good conversation. I really want to thank you for coming on the show. But I always want to give everybody a chance if they have any last thoughts, maybe some wrap up pieces of advice. If you have anything, I would like to think about the person who is currently a salon owner and thinking about new ways to run their business, or and not just with business models. It could just be it could be there could be other shifts, I don't know. And also like the rising stylist or maybe the aspiring salon owner, and then anybody out there that's looking for a place that sounds like you would be a good place for them to come in, and they would like to work there whether they live here or not. Do you have anything last minutes to say to any of those people?
Well, I would say our business is changing finally. We are great at style changes and innovation, but our business model and the way we think about it remains old fashioned. And so, for aspiring salon owners and existing salon owners, I would say that it's okay to really get in touch with your heart and your soul print and do things in the way that really resonate with you, and to not feel like you're a prisoner in your own business, because I think that often happens. We're trying to please people in a way to keep them. And often, when you can release that, you have the freedom to create the business of your dreams. Um, as far as new talent, we love to meet people all the time. We also, not only to be on the team, but we actually have internship programs if there are people who want to come and learn about natural hairstyling, as well as the open book team based business style of what we do here. Uh, and if you just simply want to come and have a conversation, we're always willing to meet people. Um, yeah, so I that would really be it, to have the courage to do what resonates in your heart and soul.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. And what is the name of your podcast? So anybody who's out there that wants to check it out.
Oh, thank you. Yes. It's called the Curl Code, and it's about embracing natural hair and the natural hair journey and the deeper meaning of what goes with that. And so, not only are we do have people in the salon industry, but we also have some really cool clients that have important messages that we feel need to get out.
Yeah, that's great. I listened to one of your episodes. You were interviewing one of your clients, and I thought it was cool to hear the customer talking about their hair in a way that I feel like maybe isn't necessarily finding it in a consultation. I thought that was really cool. It kind of gave you a little more insight. So check it out. I recommend go checking it out. And more, I look forward to having you on the show again if you have the time and you're interested. And until next time, thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you, Robert.
All right. Bye bye.